Hello everyone and welcome back. We're going to talk about the elections in Venezuela. That happened quite a long time ago. For a better understanding of the topic, we have brought an expert on the subject. The pleasure is mine. So what happened, basically?
What happened is that the CNA, the entity that is responsible for the elections, manipulated the voting results to make Maduro win. Even the opposition candidate, Edmundo Gonzalez, won.
Who is exactly Nicolás Maduro?
Nicolás Maduro is the representative of the PSUV movement. And he was one of the great friends of Chavez in a moment. He was a chancellor that was of his same party, and he helped him in his mandate.
Oh, that's great. Is there like sources that the vote was rigged?
Yes, actually there are two. First of all, is that the voting records, that the voting records weren't released, and they had to be released because that would be illegal if they wouldn't be released. And also because the opposition made a website that confirmed the results that made Edmundo Gonzalez win, but the president of Venezuela didn't confirm that was real. He said that was fake.
So basically, what is your opinion? What is your opinion about all of this?
I think it's pretty lame that things like this happen. But the good thing about all this is that people now respect a little more democracy and is more focused on what happens in the political world and overall.
And overall, what can we do?
Unfortunately, it's already too late. Maybe we could hope for a putsch or to Maduro be removed of the charge of president. But for now, there's nothing we can do.
And one last question, Juan Diego. Do you believe the problem with the votes was somewhat related to the CNA director said on the document written on the March 4th, 2025?
I really think. Could you ask that question again? Sorry.
Okay. Do you believe the problem with the votes was somewhat related to the CNA director said on the document written on March 4, 2025?
I think there's a certain responsibility for them also, because they didn't respect democracy as it is. So yes,
Yeah,
I think they have some kind of responsibility.
Could you explain us what is the document about?
About it?
Yeah.
What do you mean about that?
Can you tell us about what's on the document that was written in March 2025?
Oh, the demonstration. That is fake.
It's fake?
Yes, there are plenty of things, but in this moment we know it's fake because of those two things and because of independent voting records that also confirm this.
Okay.
There are many documents that talk about that.
Well, that's great. Thank you so much for participating in this podcast.
No, thank you for inviting me, and it's been a pleasure to be here.
Well, next up we have news about the current conflicts that is the Russian-Ukrainian war. This conflict has brought a lot of questions about how it works, its history, and why it is important to understand. So we invited another expert called Manuel.
Well, hello. As you know, I'm an anthropologist, and today we will present some news about the latest news of the Russia-Ukraine conflict. So first, we have to present how it works and how it happened.
We have three social media questions to ask you, but first I think you should introduce us to the topic.
Okay. The Russia-Ukraine conflict started in 1991. It started by the dissolution of the URSS or the Soviet Union. The Soviet Union had a lot of countries to have by his side, and one of them was Ukraine and Georgia. So when Putin was elected as Prime Minister of Russia, it all started by making that Putin wanted to make Russia a superpower country. So in that case, Georgia entered in a war with Russia because Russia wanted to make more of his spheres of influence more bigger. So if Georgia joined to the OTAN in this case, Russia thought I will lose more influence spheres. So now Georgia entered with a war with Russia, but that war was interrupted by the joining of Georgia in the OTAN. Something similar passed with the Ukraine conflict. In Ukraine, there was a difficult situation because there were people who wanted to join the OTAN and others who wasn't, because that could make Putin get into a war with Ukraine. So in 2014, the Russia-Ukraine conflict started by a protest made Euromaidan, that it was some kind of protest of the in Ukraine about joining the OTAN. But the president in that age made that they couldn't join to the OTAN because the war in Russia. But after that, the president ran out of the country and created that Russia annexed part of the Crimea Peninsula and Sevastopol that was a Ukraine territory. Russia attached that part to them, and then it started a war between those two parts of the history. Then after that is in 2022, it was like the most official conflict, like the most violent conflict around this century, because in the selection of Zelensky in Ukraine made that Zelensky had some clear goals of joining the OTAN, but Russia get into a most violent war in Ukraine and Russia because Putin didn't want to Ukraine join the OTAN because he could lose some of his influence here.
Oh, well, it seems like you really know this topic. So I have some important questions from other people. Like, how is the United States involved in this conflict?
Well, United States in this conflict is like the most persistent parts of around the conflict, because lately Putin and Trump made a call from the Russia-Ukraine conflict dealing with some invaders of the Kremlin and the OTAN. Also, they discussed about the Ukraine conflict, like what they could do. So Trump got into a conclusion by that call. So Trump got that if they keep fighting to Russia, they will lose some of the most important countries around Russia, that is Ukraine. So Trump dealt with Zelensky a call after the call with Putin, and Zelensky and Putin, and Trump told Zelensky that he could surrender to Russia, because if Russia attached all Ukraine's if Russia attached all Ukraine's, it would be like the end of democracy itself, because the OTAN wouldn't have so much power and Russia would expand his influence spheres.
That's very interesting, might I say. The next question is, what is the exact date that the conflict really started? Because I see you mentioned both 2014 and 2021.
Okay, well, it depends on your perspective. 2021 and 2022 was one of the moments more agitated and most violent in the conflict. But originally, the conflict started like in 2014 because the annex of Crimea to Russia. So it started by the independization of Donetsk and Lugansk that were like republic around Russia, and they both independized and made treaties with Russia to attack Ukraine. So I think it depends more on that thing, but I think they could be like moments that the conflict started between two ages, like the less violent conflict and the most violent conflict.
And one last question, and I need you to answer this like really quick. For you, what are your thoughts on what Trump told the president of Russia regarding on the ongoing war?
Could you repeat the question, please?
Yeah. What are your thoughts on what Trump told the president of Russia on the ongoing war?
Okay, well, Trump told Putin to like get the surrender of Ukraine. But in my perspective, the surrender of Ukraine and the attachment to Ukraine to Russia would make like the end of democracy in the east side of all the world. So it could expand the influence spheres of Russia and make like the Russia superpower again, like the Soviet Union in the 90s. So I think, in my perspective, that the surrendering of Ukraine would be like the end of democracy and the beginning of a new tyranny.
I have another question. This time it is the last. When could the war finish? When could the war end?
Well, the end of the war isn't close because there isn't some clear negotiations between Ukraine and Russia and Trump as the representation of the OTAN. So if Ukraine joins the OTAN, I think it would be like a more violent war because Putin would try to eliminate the state of Ukraine. But if Ukraine surrenders to Russia, I think Russia would be a superpower again and expand his influence spheres. So in my perspective, it would depend if they make a peace treaty or maybe they surrender to the Russian country.
Why? Thank you so much for participating on the news broadcast. It was a really great pleasure to have you here.
Okay, great.
Okay, so we have our Palestine and Israel war expert, Samuel Gonzalez. One of Palestine and Israel war expert, Samuel Gonzalez. So Samuel, tell us a little about the ongoing war of Palestine and Israel.
Okay, this war is one of the main issues in all the world. Have worried a lot of people, but there is a lot of misinformation about this war. So the people don't know exactly how it was originated or who participated in this war, who is involved in this war. So we started describing this conflict in 1917 when the British government created a shelter in the Palestine territory. This caused a lot of disagreement from the Palestinian people because the Palestinian people wanted to keep their territory. But the Israel people say that the territory was theirs because it's historical value and they leave it as a whole. There was another options to the British government to put the shelter, the Israeli shelter, but the British government pick this territory to because it's terrible.
Why don't we wait for this plane to pass so they are different?
Just wait a minute.
Yeah, after the Second World War, a massive migration of Israeli people to the Palestine territory. There was a massive migration, and once again caused a lot of controversy and disagreement from the Palestine people.
Okay, and one first question: what are your predictions on the war? Like, who do you think will win? What will happen? What do you think is gonna happen?
This is a complex war because if another country helps one of the states, this will be Third World War. So yeah, it's a so complex war. Another problem here is Israel have an unconditional help by the United States. So yeah, if another country is in here, this will be so. This will be not good. I think this will end with the win of Israel to Palestine, or a peace treaty, like the peace treaty made by Yasser and another politician in Israel in the 20s. Yeah.
Okay, so second question: what do you think will happen to Palestinian people, Palestinian territory after the war? Like, since they're not going to the war, what do you think is gonna happen with them?
I don't know, because before the war there was a lot of Palestinian people in that territory. So when the Israeli people started to migrate, the Israeli community started to grow up and have become bigger, to the Palestinian Palestinian people. So
Yeah.
I don't know how the Palestinian people and the Arab people can win this war, because Israel have an army, but Palestine is not, because Palestine has not
An army.
an army and a state.
Okay, and the last question: if you could define Israel and Palestine in one word, which will it be?
Disagreement.
Disagreement on both, or just Israel?
There is in the war there was a lot of disagreement from the two groups, the Zionist people and the Palestinian people, because when for an example, when Palestine and Israeli people made a peace treaty, there was a lot of disagreement and controversy from the Palestinian people. So one of them killed the president of Israel that was in agreement for the peace, and another politician and another president took the took the control of the country and started to and was a Zionist people, so it started to attack to policy.
Okay, Samuel, very interesting. Thanks for joining us in this podcast, broadcast, in this news. And we're gonna take a quick commercial break. We'll be right back.
Next up, we have news about the TikTok ban in America. So we've brought Carla here.
Thank you for having me here. Well, I'm going to talk about the TikTok ban. What is TikTok? TikTok is a very popular social media app where you can grab your phone and scroll from your content. Young people and old people alike can like, dislike, comment, create and upload short formatted videos, or they can start a live, which in my opinion are very successful. The news I'm going to be focusing on is the TikTok ban on the US. The TikTok ban was enforced on January 18 for about 12 hours before the new president of the US, Trump, decided to extend the ban with another 75 days delay. The problem about this is that this uncertainty, I don't know how to pronounce that. The uncertainty of the topic has brought the young people that use TikTok, not the old people, the liberals, because they couldn't care less. The young people are starting to give like riots or small protests. Lately, this is news. I didn't have that in my script. The TikTok ban deadline was supposed to be in April 5, but then President Trump saved us all and extended the ban another 75 days.
Okay, so we wanted to ask you, do you think if Trump didn't were elected, TikTok will be banned by today?
I don't think so. I think it's more like a tactic. Like Trump says he's gonna ban TikTok, but then he barges in. He's the hero of us all, and then he extends the ban for another 75 days.
Okay, yeah, that's an interesting question. Do you have any question, Amanda?
I'm afraid not. Oh no, actually, what do you think is going to happen in the future about that topic?
I think there is going to be another 75 days delay. It's going just to keep on until the presidency of Trump is over, or until anyone in the cabinet of the president of the U.S. intervenes.
And last but not least, or most important question, do you think TikTok should be banned?
Yeah. Like how? Like TikTok has like a time limit that you can just unlock by putting in a code. I think they should enforce a law by not letting internet providers give host TikTok for more than 12 hours. 12 hours is just fine because there's people I know that are sitting in bed all day scrolling, and that is not okay, of course.
12 hours, that's a lot.
Yeah.
Do you think it should be maximum 4 hours?
No.
Okay.
Because maybe there's creators. What about the people that are creators? What about the people that use TikTok or social media for a living? They also need a lot of screen time for the TikTok or stuff.
Makes sense. But thank you very much, Carla.
Thank you.
Next up, we have the Lost People. That's the head of the news, and it's about the ongoing war with the guerrilla in Colombia. We brought Sara Melo as an expert of this topic.
Well, hello, my name is Sara Melo Caro. I do my job as a humanitarian worker at the Colombian government. So today I wanted to talk to you about a truly concerning situation that has been happening at the Catatumbo in Colombia, which involves, such as Maximiliano said, guerrilla. This concerns me a lot since the forces of FARC and ELN grew between an intense conflict, leading to the displacement of many people around Cucuta, which is, if you ask me, really worrying since displacement is such a hard thing to face. And 36,000 people being displaced is not something you can say it's fine. You need to find a solution to that.
Okay, so first question, and it's about the peace agreement that President Santos did. Do you think it should be okay to forgive the guerrilleros on their crimes?
I'm not pretty sure about that since I don't think their actions should be forgiven since the displacement and deaths of people are not something you can easily forget, you know. The deaths of those thousands of people are not something easy to face. The families, the kids, that's not something you can easily forget. So I would say that it would take a lot of time to handle.
At the end of all, you do think we need to forgive people in order to get peace in Colombia?
That's a maybe.
That's a maybe.
Like forgive but not forget.
Forgive but not forget. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's the all right. Good.
What do you think will happen in the future?
In the future, what are your predictions?
In the future. Well, in my opinion, if we reach a peace treatment with guerrilla, maybe the situation related to violence in Colombia could improve a lot. But of course, that takes a lot of time. I can't assure in a few years we can have a more peaceful country, but maybe the situation with violence could be a lot better in probably 30 years, 35 years.
Okay. There's a drug dealer related question. What do you think is the role of drug dealers in la guerrilla? Like,
Oh, that's
You know,
a
because
pretty,
they're the
yeah,
next
that's
up,
a pretty
yeah.
interesting question. You know, of what I know, since journalism is pretty difficult in sections of Colombia where guerrilla is going on, from what I know, it's mostly a business, you know? Guerrilla needs a way to hold their structure, yeah, right? So their only way to find an economical source is through narco traffic.
all right. Thank you very much, Sarah.
Welcome back. And lastly, we have actually news for not some random expert, but actually from Max here, our presenter for the Amazing 4 News.
Yeah.
What are you gonna talk about it?
I'm going to talk about the Culicanazo. It sounds weird, but it's actually a town in Mexico, alright? So, sad news for the town of Culicanazo, Mexico, since it has become a scenario of violence and narco traffic and cartel wars. Only because one person, and that is Ovidio Gonzalez. Ovidio Guzman, I'm sorry.
Who is Ovidio?
Ovidio Guzman is with a familiar drug dealer called El Chapo Guzman. This is the son of the Chapo, Ovidio. So I want to talk a little about how it all started, how the town of Culiacan became the scenario of violence. So it was Ovidio Gonzalez was part of the Sinaloa cartel, which was in a type of war with the police of Culiacan, and the police set Ovidio Gonzalez a trap in a parking lot, and they got him. So after that, the cartel found out, and they said, if we don't get Ovidio Guzman out of the jail, the cartel is gone. So they basically destroyed the whole town just to get Ovidio, because if Ovidio wasn't there, it would be gone, the cartel. So they completely destroyed the town just to get Ovidio Guzman.
Well, that's terrible. When did it happen exactly?
It happened around 2016. Yeah, it happened in 2016 when Ovidio was arrested, obviously. And he was he was going to be extradited to United States to a high security prison, so he can never, and facing life sentence.
Okay. Have there been any other things that have happened like this?
Like this? No, this is actually very
Unique.
unique case because they literally destroyed the whole town. And there's actually some videos about Ovidio Gonzalez saying like, no quiero más desmadre, and that because he was actually stressed. Because you see, the whole town was getting destroyed. He would hear gunshots in his jail. You hear explosions. It was a mess for the Culiacan people.
What has happened between then and now?
But then Culiacan has become a anti-drug dealer town kind of thing, because after that, Culiacan was at the top with narcoculture, and since that, the town has said no more to drug dealer, narco traffic, and it has become a free town. Yeah.
That seems quite good, actually.
Yeah. And on the next slide, we actually have a suspect from the cartel. On the next slide.
Could you thank you. That seems oddly familiar to me, actually. I think we should call someone.
This guy is suspected for being the head of the operation that has led to the destruction of Culiacan.
That look at you.
Yeah, it looks like, but it's not me.
Yeah, because he's bald.
Thank you very much. That's my news.
Well, thank you so much for tuning in. That's all for today. Thank you so much for being here, for tuning in. And yeah, that's all. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much.